Ma lole soifua ma le langi mama.
I love it.
So my name is Malia. I'm the Po-Pacific for the Specialist Teaching Program at Massey University. In a former life, I was the manager of an RTLB cluster in West Auckland, and I maintain my role in the Tautai Pacific RTLB network by bringing a research and evidence-based lens to all our work. I guess this is a really good opportunity to make the distinction between Tautai o le Moana, which comes under the Pacific Principles group, and this Pacific Tautai group, which is about, so our Tautai Pacific RTLB network is based on Tautai Matapalapala, which are the masters of the ocean's catch. So they are the master fisher people that can read the weather and the tides in order to collect rich bounties of kaimoana for their communities. Our network is about resources and resourcing schools and services that work with our Pacific communities. So while I've got the mic, Ben, before you jump in, I just wanted to send out a couple of special shout outs to our Pacific cluster managers fighting the good fight, Michelle Moore in Christchurch and Brent Tangomoa in Invercargill. He's the guy doing all the chi-hoos in the chat. Also to our specialist teaching students, former and current, who are doing double duty of studying and practicing in the field. And also to acknowledge that we have representatives from all the sectors. To say hello, talofa tu vesi from the Association of our Aonga Mata, Sa'asia, to our schools, to our tertiary institutions, and the supporting village of PLD providers. So now, let's dive deep into the journey of a Tautai o le Moana, who is leading learning at Helensville School in North Auckland. As Helen said, yes, we are the most beautiful people, especially Samoan people. So I'm introducing this handsome young man from the heart of a proud auntie and a proud educator. As an educator, I have observed Richard's growth in teaching and learning as his career has progressed from BT to now in his role as a tumuaki. Over the last 10 years, Richard and I have worked in schools together to build the Pacific capabilities of staff and to also strengthen whānau engagement, as well as critiquing strategic plans to ensure the alignment of Pacific policies and frameworks were integrated. As a proud auntie, I've seen Richard grow as a dad to 4 beautiful angels who we fondly call the Junior Bennetts. So I promised his mum I wouldn't mock him too much today, but we are here to acknowledge, to celebrate and encourage his journey going forward. Nau mai, haere mai te so mai, Richard. No pressure, but when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Auntie Marley. I'll pay you later for those kind words. I'll just share my screen.
Richard, I think you're coming through clearly, so you're okay.
You're okay?
Yeah, audience members, yep. We've got the thumbs up. You're okay. A lot of love coming up here, Richard. Good luck.
Good, thank you. Yeah, very nervous, I must say. Sorry, everybody.
No,
yeah,
just ignore the 124 people that are in this.
Before I start, I'd just like to acknowledge the Tautai Pacific RTLB group for giving me this opportunity to share my journey. I'm feel very humbled and privileged to be given this chance to speak. And after seeing the amazing presentations that went before me from those amazing and very articulate speakers, I'm feeling even more pressure now to deliver. But I'll be giving it my best shot. But yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. Before I start, I just like being Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. I'd like to start with the karakia, and then I'll get into it. So
awesome. Good luck, Richard.
Kia tātou, kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, hei huara I mātātou I te rangi nei, manaki mai, manaki atu, tātou I tātou katoa, haumi e hui e, tai kia. Kia ora and talofa lava, everyone. My name is Richard Bennett, and the very new principal here at Helensville Primary School. Before I start, I would just like to start off with something that was resonated very strong with me, within me at at my previous school, we had a Pacifica Parents Fono. And one of our guest speakers there was a man by the name of Mayor Schmidt-Willie, who was in the health sector. And he was the husband of one of the teachers there at the time. And he did a very inspirational talk to us. And one of the things that he mentioned was that of service leadership. And the things that he brought up, the things that he shared with us while I was sitting there, I thought, well, that is just something that I just really want to aspire to make sure that I bring with me to any more leadership roles that I might be able to get later on in my teaching career. So that's why I've put this up here, so to share with you all. Thank you. First of all, I'd just like to start with who am I and in my roots. I'm a very proud Samoan. My mother is Samoan from the village of Tautai in Samoa on the island of Upolu. She has very strong German roots. Her parents had a lot of German blood as well. She grew up there. She went to school in Samoa at St. Mary's. And I was, which I'll touch on later on in the presentation, I was able to grow up in Samoa as well and experience some very strong life experiences as well, which has formed who I am and the values that I'll be talking to later on in this presentation. I'll also like to talk about my father. My father is of English descent, heritage, born in Blackpool in England, with a bit of Irish blood as well. And I had the privilege of going and visiting Blackpool around about 10 years ago. During a sporting trip, I was able to go and spend a week or so up there in Blackpool to see where and connect with my father's roots as well. And I thought that was just a really nice touch after living and growing up in Samoa, knowing my mother's roots, knowing as well where my dad has come from as well. So yeah, again, with my father's sort of heritage and my mother's heritage together, making me culturally richer for it. Just briefly about my upbringing. I was born in West Auckland, Henderson, and grew up in Glen Eden. And at the age of 10, our family decided to move to Samoa in 1989, and we lived there for 7 years. And the reason behind moving there was partly because of the decision of my father at the time. Now, as very, I would like to say, privileged Palangi kids growing up in West Auckland, one evening we started bickering over the fact that the biscuits that we were having as a treat were not chocolate. And so my father thought, right, there's a lot of things that we as children maybe were taking for granted, and he thought, let's go to Samoa, where you might be able to sort of learn a bit more about, not taking things for granted and learning about how, we may not have everything that we want, but actually you have got everything that you need. So we moved there for 7 years. We started a shop. Family started a shop, which was very successful, a general store. And I went to school in Samoa as well. And I went to Leififi Intermediate and also to Samoa College. And while we were there, we had a lot of amazing life experiences as well. We were there for both both cyclones, Val and Ofa, and during that time, which was a very stressful time after those cyclones, we had for a long time no power, no running water. We used to have to go down to the Vaisingano River just nearby. We had a hydroelectric dam out the back of our house, filling up buckets of water to come to bring back to the house for our cleaning, our drinking, to do the dishes and what have you, which was a very, very different lifestyle that me and my brothers and the family experienced while we were in New Zealand. when we went back, when we returned to New Zealand, I went to Kelston Boys High School, and it was a culture shock in both regards for me. And it was a culture shock for me to go to Samoa at that age, and to live the life that we did over there. At the time in Samoa, it was still gravel roads in Apia, in the main city centre. There was no traffic lights. There was no the roads were very, a lot of potholes. Yeah, there was no McDonald's back then, and there was, as opposed to how it is now, it was very, very different. So it was a shock going there, but also upon returning and coming back to New Zealand, it was a culture shock too, going back to Kelston Boys and knowing what we had to deal with, and what we had with regards to resourcing at Samoa College, which was one of the top government schools there, and to know what we had, what we had, what the students and my peers had in the classroom at Kelston Boys, as opposed to what I had when I was in Samoa College, and again, taking things for granted and knowing that if only we had a slice of that sort of resourcing at Kelston Boys, at Samoa College that we had at Kelston Boys, how grateful we would have been, and I could only imagine what sort of the teaching and the learning that we could have had would have looked like back then. And like what I said down there, this really did shape me growing up as a person, and the values that I still hold on to dearly with regards to what I bring to me as my role as a family person and as an educator. So to start off with, why did I become a teacher? Teaching has always been present in my family. My father obviously used to be a martial arts instructor, and we grew up. We had no opportunity to really watch TV much when I was living in New Zealand, and we used to go to trainings around about 4 days a week. Juniors and senior training for a couple of hours, and that was a big part of our life growing up, and also, as I mentioned before, my auntie Malia, when we were living in Samoa, she, in hindsight now, I could see when she used to come visit us, and me and my cousins were probably quite rowdy at the time. I could see when she was obviously starting her teaching career, she was experimenting with a lot of her behavior management strategies with us, in which we really enjoyed. And I thought, well, this is really cool. This is fun. And so I could see that it was always a very big part of our family. The real calling for me came when I went to South Korea to teach, and that came about by previous to me being a teacher. I have a degree in business, and there was a massive restructuring. I used to work in the city centre, and I had a friend who was teaching in South Korea. And he said, hey, would you like to come over as an English instructor? And I thought, well, there was a massive restructuring. We all got made redundant. And I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do. I'll hop over there. And I really thoroughly enjoyed working with the kids over there and teaching English. It was glorified babysitting, really. And the money was great. It was fantastic, being paid in US dollars for 3-week camps out near just on the border between North and South Korea. So we used to see the Apache helicopters flying by regularly overhead and all that. So it was a great experience. But the teaching experience itself, I realized that when I come back to New Zealand, I will look at doing a teaching qualification, and that's going to be my career pathway. So upon my return, I completed a 1-year graduate diploma in teaching, and was able to get a position at Blockhouse Bay Primary in West Auckland in 2006. During my time there, I was able to hold the positions of classroom teacher, team leader, and also further on when I was there, after many years, I was there for 14 years, I was able to get the positions of PE and Pacifica education lead teacher. And I'll be talking a bit more about that Pacifica education lead teacher role, which I had a lot of support from my Auntie Maria Tuala as well, which was quite innovative at the time. for that school. Also, in 2018, I went on study leave. I was able to get a Teachers Ed Study Award for a year. And I used that year to complete my Masters in Professional Studies in Education. And my dissertation focus was on looking at the perceptions of Year 5 and 6 Pasifika students on the link between physical education and literacy learning. I was able to get the blessing of Dr. A.C. Lata to use her Vātele model as my theoretical framework, which underpinned a lot of my dissertation. And also I used the Talanoa framework as my methodology as well. Dr. A.C. Lata was one of my lecturers at the time while I was doing my other two papers during my Masters, but I also had previously worked with Dr. A.C. Lata when I did my grad dip TESOL paper. So when I saw that she was one of the lecturers doing the literacy paper to help me with my Masters, my heart was very warm knowing that I could hopefully get some connection there for her to help me with my and get her blessing for my dissertation theoretical framework. So after that, I was expecting to go back to Blackhouse Bay Primary and to say thank you for giving me the opportunity for sort of furthering some of my studies and to freshen me up to pursue some more leadership opportunities if they would arise. A position came up at Rosebank School, and the principal there, Paul Pirahi, was able to give me a deputy principal position there, which I held for nearly 4 years. My roles at that school were to oversee the Samoan bilingual unit, Tupulanga Taiao, and also the ESOL program, and I was also able to hold a Senko role there too, as well as some of my passion being in PE. I was able to help Sport Waitakere with the Southwest Cluster sort of organisation. And then term 4 last year, I thought I'd roll my sleeves up and throw my hat in the ring and go for a principalship. I was not expecting it. And to be perfectly honest, I thought 6 years down the line, maybe I could get maybe a look in, and I got it. I got the position as principal at Helensville Primary School. I thought I would just go in there for the experience, get my CV up to scratch, see what the process is like for being a principal. But obviously there was something there that the panel saw that they thought Helensville Primary School needed. So I was very grateful, but also very nervous at the same time. Talking about imposter syndrome, I'm still suffering from it now. Okay. So my educational journey, why did I choose to become a principal? I mean, just like the reasons behind why I went to, I applied for a position of deputy principal at Rosebank School was an opportunity for me to enact more change, but also to say thank you for the life experiences that I had gained from my experiences in Samoa growing up. Rosebank School at the time, and still is now, is very is a Decile 2 school with around about 70-80% of the student population identifying as Pasifika Māori. So I thought that would have been an ideal way for me to reconnect with my people, with my Samoan heritage, and give back and say thank you for those experiences that I had when I was growing up in Samoa. Previous to Rosebank School, I was at Blackhouse Bay Primary. Their Pasifika role there was around about 5%. I now see myself at Helensville School in a similar situation, around about 7-8% of the role identify as Pasifika. So they all brought very different challenges for me, and like what Helen Varney touched on in her presentation, that idea of identity and knowing what the identity of the school is. you know, my own identity. Actually, it was just I could my head was pinging with so many ideas from what Helen touched on previously, and those are some of the things that I was having to navigate with my roles, is that whole concept of identity as well. Also, it was a chance for me, you know, to obviously grow an awareness for the important part that our unique Pasifika community has in our society and in all communities, and just wanting to share this with everyone. The staff that I've been working with in all the schools, although a lot of the time I was sometimes the only one there with of Pasifika descent, Samoan descent, everyone there seemed open, which was really which I was really grateful, open to jump on the waka, come on the journey with me and support me with the things that I was wanting to implement in those schools, which I was forever grateful for. So moving on to some of the Pasifika values that I'll be touching on with my presentation, I'd like to just I'll be focusing in on those three, which obviously have resonated very strongly with me throughout my journey, and that is of service, of inclusion, collectivism, and of respect. And my life experiences have definitely these values have shaped how I am and my being throughout my roles as an educator and you know, as a person. So to talk about my current context with regards to Helensville School, where I'm the principal, Helensville School has gone through a lot of change recently. So obviously I had quite a lot of one-on-one meetings with the staff there. I've started up the Pasifika Parents Fono meetings as well, where I've been able to engage with parents and with the community. I am for some of the staff there, I am the 6th principal that they've had in 4 years. So for me to gain some sort of some mana with them, I really had to look deeply into my values, and the one for me that really stood out for me is that of respect and of service to them, and knowing that I'm there for them, that I listen, that I'm present, was, I think, going to be an important part of sort of building that relational trust with them, that, hey, I'm not just going to be someone that's going to be there for a little while and then leave again in the next couple of years, that I'm here to stay, I'm here for you, I'm here for you guys, and through service, hopefully they will see that. Also, with the recent some of the recent challenges and things that I'm facing there at the school at the moment is that of inclusion, making sure that we are getting the voice of the local iwi, mana whenua, and enacting that as part of our te reo te reo, te ao Māori and local histories PLD that we're doing. Helensville Primary School is based on land gifted by Ngāti Whātua ki Kaipara, and it's important that we acknowledge mana whenua with everything that we do. So we've been making sure that we've opened up our doors, and we've been open to any hui or whānau which they would like to be a part of. Now, at this point in time, we are looking at our strategic goals and our visioning moving forward for the next couple of years, as per the assessment and reporting sort of regulations and expectations that a lot of schools are navigating at this time. So we've called in local iwi to help get their thoughts and their views, their aspirations for the people in the area. So we've connected with Ngā Maunga Whakahi, which is one of the local iwi there, to engage with them to get their voice to be heard, and obviously through respect, collectivism, bring them all to the table and make sure that they're included with our strategic planning and they have a voice. I've made sure that Pasifika value that I hold dearly is being enacted. Service, Helensville Primary School. When I started there, there was quite a few Fono fun days. You know, we had a big ag day that was there, and ag day was where a big agricultural day. I was in the staff room, and I was helping clean up. I was doing the dishes in the staff room, and I could just I could hear that the staff behind me were a bit quiet. And you know, my spider senses, my ears perked up, and I was thinking, okay, what's going on? I looked around, and I could see the staff were looking at me saying, oh, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm doing dishes. I'm just helping tidy up. I was out there previously helping bring down tents and roll things and put things away. And they said, well, I've never seen, some of the staff, they said, well, I've never seen a principal do that before. And which to me, I found very, I was like, well, this is just who I am. You know, I'm here to serve. I'm here to do the dishes, tidy up, clean up. After, it doesn't matter if I was a classroom teacher, team leader, and all that. As principal, this is my part to say thank you and show you, you know, this is who you now have as your principal. For me as a family, my family, I mean, I'm a middle child. I've got an older and younger brother. And I actually was on the phone with my younger brother last night talking about this this presentation that I was doing today. And I was talking to him about all the values that I'll be talking about of service, inclusion, and respect. And I said, what do you think about what do you think about that? Is an opinion, is that similar for you? And he goes, absolutely. And he did make a very insightful comment, and he said, well, a lot of that, he said to me was is the way, it was the sort of environment that we were brought up in. We were brought up in a very disciplined environment, weren't we? And I thought, well, yeah, actually it was very disciplined. You know, at school it was very disciplined. He went to Malifa Primary, where it was his classroom. I think there was 80 or 90 students in his class. These are year twos at the time. I know when I was at intermediate, I was in a classroom of 60 or 70 at Le Fifi. And so it was very structured and it was very disciplined. And through that discipline, you know, we were able to, you know, we saw the value of service, of respect, and of making sure that, you know, no one was higher or lower than anybody else, and we did what was needed. And I thought that was quite an insightful sort of comment that my younger brother made at the time. And I thought, right, I'm going to just make sure I touch on that during my my presentation today. Yes, impact on the family. Obviously, I now have 4 children of my own, and a loving partner and supportive partner. And I look back on the experiences that I had growing up in Samoa, and thinking, well, I hope that my children get these experiences too, because living in New Zealand, in West Auckland, in you know, the environment that we have, if they could hopefully further down the track in you know, in their lives, be able to experience schooling in Samoa, you know, experience the Samoan way of life, I think they would just enrich them, you know, culturally. So hopefully that opportunity arises as well. Some of the other values that my Pacifica values, some of the other challenges that I would like to touch on in detail. When I was at Blockhouse Bay Primary, with the support of Malia Tuala, we instilled and we created what we called the Malanga Action Plan for Pacifica, and that was off the back of the PEP resource 2013-2017. It was the first time that the school had any action plan for Pacifica, and I was able to give that opportunity. Was given to me by the principal at the time, Neil Robinson, who saw the value in all the students in the school. And he came and saw me and said, Richard, you know, what are we going to do for our Pacifica students? We need something. And together we created a living document, a reciprocal document, and we brought in the voices of the Pacifica community. And we held many fono at length with them. We captured their voice. We captured the voice of the students. We created the first Pacifica group for students to perform. And I touched base with the principal, Neil Robinson, just a couple of days ago to see how they're going with this. And I know a lot of the talk these days is about, culturally responsive practice, and that narrative is sort of changing, adding to it is culturally sustaining practice. And they are still using that document now, and they are still using it. They just recently held a Fono with their parents, and they said that they were thriving. They used that document to help them collect their voice with regards to their strategic planning for the school, which really warmed my heart, knowing that, something that we had done for our Pacifica community there at that school is still alive today. And that was through inclusion. A big part of that was through that value of inclusion, making sure that they were involved. By listening to them, by having their voice not just explicitly but implicitly involved with the strategic planning of the school, we could see that they really valued it, and they felt valued. At Rosebank School, and this is where my value of service really came through. At Rosebank School, where I oversaw the Samoan bilingual unit, Tupulanga Moa Taiao, I was not the expert. Going from Blackers Bay Primary, where I was the only one of Pacifica heritage, going to Rosebank School, where a lot of the staff identified as Pacifica and a lot of the students identified as Pacifica, I was very much leading from the back. I was there to serve them and to serve those students and those teachers, their needs. I learned so much from those teachers, and we know that they are obviously the experts in their culture, and trying to align their expertise with some of the more intricate sort of paperwork and rules and regulations and planning documents that we needed to make sure that we had in place. That was where, service for me, I was there, and it was very much the way that I had to approach that role. At Helensville, like what I touched on before, that of building that relational trust with regards to a lot of the change that had gone on, it has gone on recently there. Again, that part of service and inclusion, starting up the Pacifica Fono evenings, bringing their voice to the table again. They've had some very strong teachers there in the past who obviously have gone on to other challenges, and some of the things have unfortunately dropped away. And at my first Fono that I had with the parents, you could see that there was a feeling of being lost again, and that really that really hurt. And I just had to reassure them that, hey, I'm here now. Let's bring it back to where it was again, and let's get your voice again. Let's hear what you guys need, what you guys want, and let's start building those relationships again. I was able to attend, and on that thing of building relationships, I was able to attend a MAC conference, Māori Achievement Collaborative Conference, last year in Term 4, and Juana Pearson was one of the keynote speakers, and she, one of the big takeaways there from her talk, her korero was, you need to have a relationship before engagement. You need to have a relationship before you put a ring on it, so to speak. And that's something that I've definitely seen, and I thought that's 100% so true with the situation that we're navigating at the moment. Before I can even think about the community, Pacifica community, or the community in general, engaging with what we're doing, I've got to create that relationship with them. And obviously, by being inclusive, by being respectful to them and to their needs, and by being there to service them and say, hey, this is not my school, this is our school, And that's something that I did say at when I was interviewed by the local Helensville's newspaper person. He said, "Oh, so what's your agenda? What do you want to do for the school, Richard?" And I said, "Well, this is not my school. This is a community school. This is our school. I come in with no agenda. My agenda is the agenda that they have, what they want, because I'm here to serve them, and I'm here to give them what they need." So that was something that hopefully, you know, I'll just try and continue on with my my journey with that community. Some of the messages and reflections. I mean, I can't emphasize it more enough the power of the collective approach. I've been very fortunate to be part of many different groups who have supported me in my role, and that whole part of inclusion is a big part of that. The Pacifica Principals Association, there I was term 4 last year. I attended a Fono, and everyone was just so open, saying, if you need any support, any help, just come and see me, come and talk to me. Yeah, I never felt alone, and I still haven't felt alone at all with this role. And I know a lot of people said to me, you know, principalship can be a lonely job at the top there. And to be honest, I've never felt alone since I started term 4 last year, and that goes and I just would like to acknowledge all those groups, even the West Auckland Pacifica Principals group that I have, which is almost like a PLG group, so to speak, run by Sepora, who's the Sepora drives it, who's also on Tautai Moana, and is the principal of Glendine Primary. She brings us all together regularly, and it's just a beautiful thing where we can get together and look at uplifting each other. Some of the other values, another value here, I mean, being humble was an interesting one for me, because I know some people can see and perceive us, you know, being humble and humility as a liability. But I mean, being humble and humility and actioning it through a respectful way is something that I've tried to endeavor to achieve, because I'm not one person to be up on the podium speaking all the time, wanting to be at front and center of everything. You know, I like to feel like I'm there for you. I'm there to serve, and I know some people in leadership roles or other roles may see that as not a strength, but for me, I like to draw on the strengths of those around me so that we can be all uplifted together. Listening is an important part for me, and a sign of respect. I mean, at the moment, we are gathering a lot of stakeholder data, engaging with our community to look at our strategic planning moving forward for the next couple of years. And so listening for me is a sign of respect, not just plowing forward with what I think should be done, but engaging with parents, staff, the students, collecting their voice out of respect for them, because this is their school, and using that to form our vision moving forward as a school. And I just like to also touch on what Helen Varney said and spoke and presented previous to me, how beautifully she articulated those documents, the NALPs and Action Plan for Pacifica and Tapasa, and seeing how she just aligned them all so well. That's where our school is at the moment. That's where I'm at the moment with my senior leadership team and the community, trying to make sure that we have that alignment and that coherence moving forward with what we are doing, and seeing the impact that has on our students. And those three terms, alignment, coherence, and impact, was something that I took from my beginning principles program with evaluation associates, and using those as some of the measures as well for us to move forward, so that there is clarity across the school with our direction. I was asked to give a few thoughts about advice for emerging leaders thinking about being a principal. Yep, I am my own worst enemy, and I know some people may be thinking, oh no, I'm not ready. My advice is just to give it a crack. Back yourself, roll your sleeves up, and take the risk. And also, like what I talked about before, you're never alone. If you want to be alone, you can be alone, but there are always those support people out there that will help you with your role. I've been very privileged to know that there is so many people that will have helped me in the past with my role, through my many roles in education. Yeah, and also for advice for education leaders growing Pacific leaders in leadership. At Rosebank School, we had an opportunity to create a management unit for a need in the school, and I created a cultural leader job description, management unit. And one of the teachers at the time there sort of doubted herself, but I said, go for it. This is something that I think I can see you really striving to do. And this is, right up your alley. She took on the role, she thrived, and touching base with a few other teachers who are still at the school now, she's of Niuean descent, and they are now even contemplating and looking at her driving with the support of other teachers there, kaiako there, and kaiawhina there, to open up a Niuean bilingual unit, which is so exciting. I always made sure that, I let her know that I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to support you. And, my understanding of her passions and her needs and hoping to cater to that was, I think, a big thing that I think, we could give moving forward to those who are wanting to take that next step into leadership. Yeah, so those three values of service, inclusion, and respect have been fundamental to what I've done, my thinking, how I've looked at challenging situations in the schools that I've been in, how I've come about with my decision making. I know sometimes inclusion can be some people might see that as a stumbling block, because hey, why don't we just go ahead and do it? Let's just do it without consulting with anybody, And for me, no, we need to make sure that we've heard everybody, And for me, that's a respect thing. Yeah, I know I'm currently navigating a situation where at the school I'm at, being inclusive, we've engaged with a few iwi, and making sure that everybody no one's stepping on anybody's toes, and we're all working together for the same cause. We're all on the same team. And so you can see that with my approaches, there can be some challenges that come with it too. And but out of respect, we're making sure that all iwi voice are being heard, so that we can all move forward together with that. But yes, that's in a nutshell my journey and the values that I've held on to dearly. Those Pacifica values I've held on to dearly. I've always been told off by some of the teachers I'm with, saying that whenever I say, oh look, I'm striving to, I'm a plastic Samoan, and they say, no, you're not. You're not, Richard. You're not a plastic Samoan. I can see, you walk like a Samoan, and I'm like, oh, how does Samoan? Yeah, you take ages to get to the classroom sometimes. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks. Yeah. But she, the support that I've had from those around me is made me help me enact those values. And those were some of the messages I'd really like to share with you all today. Also, I'd like to touch, and I'm sort of jumping around here though, on our first speakers as well, and the message that they had for those teachers that they talked to, where there was only one teacher in that who identified as Pacifica, and sometimes it was all up to them as well to champion and drive some of these the initiatives at the school in that Pacifica space. And I've seen, that was my journey at Black Bay, and my journey now here at Helensville. But I was privileged enough to have that experience at Rosebank, where there was a bigger family there for me to draw on. But yes, I really made that connection, and I know how challenging that could be for people. But like what I said before, if you want to be alone in the journey, you know, you will be, but there's always people that you can look to for support. And on that note, with my final acknowledgements, throughout my teaching journey, the RTLB service has always been there for me in every single school I've been at. And I just really like to acknowledge the RTLB service and those many people in the RTLB service who have supported me with my roles, leading funnels, workshops with parents, our Pacifica community who wanted needs with regards to literacy or numeracy, those who wanted to have a better understanding of some of the other initiatives that are going on in the school. I've been very lucky enough to apply for regional PLD funding, and also a previous RTLB servant, Russell Sewer, will hopefully be joining me at Helensville to help me with my mahi up there too. So yeah, very fortunate that I've been able to draw on many people to help me, and summed up by my final saying acknowledgement there, where it's all about standing on the shoulders of giants, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the support, the love, and the respect of those who have gone before me and who have helped me as well. The big rock in all this has been my auntie Malia, who has been with me right from the start. And whenever I've needed help, and I've gone on the phone and I said, auntie, please help, SOS. She has always been there, and those who have worked with Malia knows her very, very calm, very warm words of wisdom. She doesn't speak much, but when she does, her words are always very pertinent and insightful and very comforting. So I'd just like to acknowledge my auntie Malia there for the many years of support you've given me. To those who have given me the opportunity to grow my leadership as well, Neil Robinson, Paul Pirahi, and those who I've worked closely with, Bert Yorsia, who is a principal at Kelston Intermediate, who really mentored me in my DP-ship at Rosebank as well, before I made the big leap to becoming a principal at Helensville School too. Yes, I'd like to also acknowledge Helen Varney, who helped help support me and come to my porphyry at Helensville School as well. She was there, and I look forward to being bumped up the waiting list to join Tautai Moana when I can. Just putting it out there, Helen. If you can just put me up on the waiting list a bit more, that'll be appreciated. But yes, it has been a challenging journey for me, but I've wanted to hold firm on those values throughout my time. And in hindsight, looking back on it, if it wasn't for me holding on to those values of being respectful, being there in a service capacity, and being inclusive, things may be very different to where I find myself today. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully that made sense. I was jumping around a bit from things. I've got a whole heap of notes in front of me, and I can see there's a few things I might have missed.
No, but, Richard, you did really well.
That made sense, and hopefully those of you listening could maybe have made a connection or made a link, or there could have been something there that I could have hopefully helped you with maybe some of your thoughts and your journeys moving forward too in education. But thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you. Look, I think throughout your presentation, you got a lot of reactions. There are some key points that you mentioned, and the reaction you got was just, overwhelming. So the mahi you're doing over there at Helensville is acknowledged, and we do acknowledge your mahi. Just to let you know that you've again, like the speakers before you have touched on, Pacific education, the values that Pacific holds, Pacific people hold. And it's not just our values, it's everyone's values. These values go, they cross cultures, they cross anywhere. As long as as teachers, even RTLB, everyone recognizes that those values are important. It's what you need to bring to the job. And in this job, in any job, when you're serving children, when you're serving the community, it's important. It's important, and that's what we need. Just one of the things, Richard, we're going to go into Q&A. No, they're not hard questions. They're actually pretty good.
Please stop sharing, Richard.
Will you stop sharing?
Yes, mate.
Yes, please.
Thanks. Sweet. Then we can see
Cool.
Ben ask you questions.
Cool. It's actually a statement from Vicky, and I think any one of the panelists can answer this. She says, sorry, Vicky, I'm not throwing you under the bus, Vicky, but what you've said is actually interesting. You've said that there's been pressure we place on our Pacific colleagues to be the kapiti ali for their cultural knowledge. I think, to be honest, yeah, it's actually not pressure for us. For us, is we want to share. We want to share our mahi. We want to share the resources that not just Pacific those who non-Pacific teachers need, but for everyone. It's what we want to do for the schools we serve. If you do want to find out how, I know you've mentioned how do we seek this knowledge and advice so as not to overwhelm us. Look, we have a Tautai Plus group, and the RTLB Tautai Plus group meet once a term, and we share good practice between those who are our Pacific liaisons, and these Pacific liaisons are actually non-Pacific. They come in and we meet regularly. We discuss what we're doing in our classes to support everyone. And I guess that's most important. And you are most welcome. If you're part of an RTLB cluster, you can join us in that space. Going to the questions, I've got, let's see, Joe Hadfield. She says, Talofa Richard, I appreciate your valuable perspective. I'm curious, do you speak Samoan fluently? If you do you believe it has been an asset in your journey? And if not, has it presented any challenges for you?
Oh, look, that was my one regret growing up in Samoa. No, I don't speak fluently. I don't speak it. Mind you, late on a Saturday night I might be fluent, but it's one of those things that puzzled me as to why I didn't pick up the language, and it was only when I did the grad dip TESOL paper that I thought, second language acquisition and all that. I thought, why didn't I pick it up? And then I could see that the environment that I was in, growing up in Samoa, it was against school rules to speak Samoan at Samoa College and at Leififi Intermediate. If you spoke Samoan, you were put on detention, or hard labour, pulling with the valwhiwhi at the back of or the curry, the prickly gorse thing at the back, and all that. It was shunned to speak Samoan. My cousins who I grew up with, who I lived with, and all that, they could all speak English fluently, and they love speaking English. So all those sort of opportunities. So I just spoke English, and looking back on it, I wish there was I would have been able to speak the language fluently. The second part of that question. So what's the second part? Would that have?
If not, has it presented any challenges for you?
Well,
so
not speaking Samoan, obviously during formal huis, fonos, in some settings where I wish I could do a much better job of speaking the language, or going through those formalities and all that. I think has presented a challenge in that with regards to that sort of space. But yeah.
I guess that's where we get
my big regret.
Yeah. I guess that's where we get the feeling of imposterism, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And someone mentioned in the chat that we're all we all feel it, and it is true. We do all feel it, but it's about don't doubt your abilities. Never doubt what you can't do. Tanya has also got a question. She says, do you have any Pacifica representation on the BOT at this at school? And if not, do you have a plan on how to bring a Pacifica person in?
Absolutely, we're running. So currently, we don't have a board. We've got a commissioner in place at Helensville School, and we could be looking at putting a board in place, hopefully next year. With that in mind, definitely we'll be looking at a Pacifica voice on the board. We currently have what we call a parent advisory group, and one of the members on the parental advisory group grew up in the Cook Islands. She doesn't identify, she's Palangi, European descent,
Yep.
but she champions a lot of the Pacifica initiatives at the school, and she's been a huge support for with regards to fundraising for our Pacifica students. She just donated, they donated a whole lot of money towards our Pacifica Performance Group, who currently perform today at Kelly Fest out West Auckland. And they were able to get their costumes. So I know that there will be a voice on the board moving forward if she puts her name forward. But again, you know, they have to be voted on and all that. But we'll definitely be, I'll be definitely be putting a push in there for not only a Pacifica voice, but also a voice for Mana Whenua as well.
Awesome. We've got lots of questions from Tanya. I think I know who's going to win the spot prize for more questions. Do you have Pacific values as your school values?
Our
or do you think, are they the same? Aren't they? Would they be the same of any school value?
Well, we're currently reviewing our school values. I brought in PB Farrell at the school, and part of that is we're looking at our school values currently, and we've got a PB Farrell's positive behavior for learning. It's a 3-year contract, 3-year contract, and we've got a leadership team driving that. And one of the tasks that they've been, I've sort of got them to sort of maybe look at. Is to look at our school values, and is there are they culturally, is there a cultural element to that we can see our Māori students, our Pacifica students, or that, and that we have, I mean, the values that we have, it's an acronym REACH, and it's respect, resilience, excellence, assertiveness, citizenship, and honesty.
Yep.
So those are our values, but we're looking at maybe, are they too many? We might just bring them down a bit to a few, but
yep.
those are for respect, you know, honesty and all that. So there are some there, but I know that could well change. And we're in an exciting place at the moment at the school where we're looking at change with me being new and all that, but it's an opportunity that we can look at making sure that there is a cultural lens put across the stuff that we do in the school with regards to moving forward with our vision, with our values, and with our strategic planning too. Yeah.
Awesome. I think you've just answered the next question, because the next question was actually going to be, how do you build capacity in your team so that Pacifica voices are utilised in building the learning programs? And I think you've just answered that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think if I can take myself off here, and there was one question that I did want to ask you. There are 2 affirmation statements in there, by the way, that you can have a look at later, Richard. So you've spent a whole year in the role.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you're most proud of?
One thing that I'm most proud of.
Or has there been a lot of things that you're actually proud of?
There's been a lot of things, but I think it was the reception that I got at the very first Pacifica Fono that I had that evening, where we had quite a few representatives there, parents who are very strong in the community, who have seen the change, who have seen what the school has gone through over the last few years or so with all the change in leadership, management. And one of the things that there's this sort of I've kept in my head is one of the parents here said, you know, this is the first time we've ever had at the school, and the school being a semi-rural school, generations go through that school. You know, we look at the honours board, we've got grandparents and parents, and you know, there's just real history there with people who've been there for a long time. And she said this is the first time the school's ever had someone of Pacifica descent here, and,
awesome.
and they just felt so, she said, feels so proud. And they said, oh, you're we just feel like you're a good fit, and we feel like we are now going to be heard. We're now going to be heard. And she finished that sentence with no pressure, Richard. And I thought, right, yeah, I know, no pressure. But that was something that has sat in my head since that meeting. I mean, that's something that I feel proud that I know people are feeling that they are able to be, they feel comfortable enough to want to come in and to share and be a part of the school community. Because it has been a lot of change, and there's change fatigue in the community. There's change fatigue with the staff, and and just to try and realign everything moving forward, so that there is coherence and to know that, hey, I'm here and I'm here to listen, and I'll respect your voice, and I will include you with what we are doing moving forward. So those values, yeah.
That's awesome, Richard. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story. I like the way you had your theme up at the top of your presentation. It said, and I think the help you've received and the support you've had really actually describes what that theme is, and that is, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, you need to go together.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you. Thank you.
Cheers, Richard.
Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
I'll just pass it over to your auntie.
Wow, I promise I think I got something in my eye. Ma lolita mawhai, ma lolita wiwi, Richard. These are words said to acknowledge how one has overcome challenges and adversity. And I'm not just talking about the big work. I'm also talking about this presentation, because it really showed you were really open and honest about your learning, the challenges you faced, and the multiple considerations you have in this context. As your aunt, as a fellow educator and leader, the value that comes strongly from your whaasoa is the value of alofa, of love. In the Pacific context, it is the showing of care, kindness and concern for others, and it's manifested through their actions, especially in how they include others in the complex process of solving issues and resolving conflict, which is a core responsibility of leaders and leadership. So thank you for your whaasoa, Richard. When I'm thinking about your grandpa and your nana, they would be so proud of you today. And your children, going forward. And we'll see you at the Kongai on Sunday, and you're bringing the KFC.
KFC.
I'll do the dishes. I'll do the dishes.
Yep. Good on you. Okay.